Let me remind you of something most people spend their entire lives running from. The person you avoid becoming is often the person your future is waiting for. The person you avoid becoming is your breakthrough. Do the thing you fear to do and keep on doing it. That is the quickest and surest way ever yet discovered to conquer fear. Dale Carnegie. Most people believe growth happens when life becomes easier, when the path clears, when the opportunity appears, when motivation suddenly arrives. But real transformation rarely begins in comfort. It begins in confrontation. Confrontation with the version of yourself you've been avoiding, the habits you ignore, the discipline you postpone, the responsibility you delay. Because the truth most people never admit is this: your biggest obstacle is not outside of you. It's the version of you that refuses to evolve, the version that procrastinates, the version that negotiates with comfort, the version that waits for the right time. And the longer you avoid confronting that version, the longer your breakthrough stays delayed. The strange part about personal growth is that the solution is often obvious. You already know what needs to change. Wake up earlier, spend less time scrolling, study instead of consuming, save instead of spending, train instead of postponing. None of these are mysteries. But knowing and becoming are two different things, because becoming requires confrontation, and confrontation requires courage. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The resistance you feel is often the direction you need to move toward. But the human mind avoids discomfort. It protects familiar habits, even when those habits quietly destroy progress. This is why so many people stay stuck. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they avoid identity transformation. Changing results requires changing behavior. Changing behavior requires changing identity. And identity shifts are uncomfortable. They force you to abandon the version of yourself that feels familiar, even if that version is limiting you. Think about it. There is a version of you that wakes up earlier, a version of you that studies harder, a version of you that builds discipline, a version of you that stops making excuses. But that version requires effort, so the mind negotiates. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it when I feel ready. I'll try when life slows down. But readiness is a myth. Progress begins before you feel prepared, because preparation happens through action, not before it. Bruce Lee once said, "If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done." Action transforms identity. Every disciplined choice strengthens the version of you that wins. Every avoided responsibility strengthens the version that drifts. And identity compounds. One decision becomes a habit. Habits become patterns. Patterns become personality. And personality shapes destiny. The person you are today is the result of thousands of repeated decisions, some conscious, most automatic, but automatic behavior can be redesigned. That's where your breakthrough hides, inside the moment where you stop avoiding growth. Most people believe the hardest part of success is opportunity, but the hardest part is identity evolution, because identity evolution requires leaving comfort behind. Comfort feels safe, but comfort is deceptive. Comfort slowly convinces you that improvement can wait, that effort can pause, that discipline can be postponed. But time does not pause. It compounds, and what you repeat daily becomes who you become. James Clear once wrote, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become." Every decision matters, not because of the moment itself, but because of the direction it reinforces. If you repeatedly avoid challenge, you reinforce avoidance. If you repeatedly choose discipline, you reinforce resilience. This is how identity forms, quietly, gradually, through repetition. But the moment that changes everything is the moment you confront the version of yourself you've been avoiding. The disciplined version, the responsible version, the focused version, the version that stops negotiating with excuses. That confrontation feels uncomfortable because growth demands sacrifice. Sacrifice of distraction, sacrifice of laziness, sacrifice of short-term comfort. But those sacrifices create leverage, and leverage changes outcomes. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Forward motion matters more than perfection. The breakthrough doesn't require perfection, it requires momentum. Momentum begins with small decisions. Wake up when the alarm rings. Finish the task you started. Protect your time. Choose growth over comfort. These small actions may look insignificant, but they are identity shifts, and identity shifts accumulate over weeks, over months, over years, until one day you realize something powerful. You're no longer the person you used to be. The habits changed you, the discipline reshaped you, the confrontation strengthened you. Most people imagine transformation as a dramatic moment. But transformation is usually quiet. It happens in private. When you choose to train even when you're tired, when you study when nobody is watching, when you save money instead of spending impulsively, when you protect your focus instead of chasing distraction. These moments rarely receive applause, but they build the person capable of achieving extraordinary outcomes. Garnett Silk once sang, "Life is one big road with lots of signs." Those signs appear constantly. Some signs warn you to slow down. Some signs warn you to change direction, but the most important signs point toward growth. And growth often sits behind resistance. Resistance is not the enemy. It is the signal that something important lies on the other side. The person you avoid becoming is often the person capable of building the life you want. The disciplined version, the focused version, the responsible version. Avoiding that version delays progress. Confronting that version accelerates transformation. But confronting yourself requires honesty. Honesty about your habits, honesty about your time, honesty about your discipline. Self-deception is comfortable, but clarity is powerful. Once you see your patterns clearly, you can change them deliberately. That's when identity begins to shift. Slowly, consistently, until discipline feels normal, until focus feels natural, until growth becomes automatic. Muhammad Ali once said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." The temporary discomfort of discipline creates permanent confidence, because confidence is built through evidence. Evidence that you kept your promises, evidence that you showed up, evidence that you endured. Every disciplined action becomes proof. Proof that you are capable of more. Proof that you can evolve. Proof that the version of you once avoided is actually the version capable of winning. The breakthrough you're searching for is not hidden in opportunity, it's hidden in identity. The identity that refuses excuses, the identity that chooses discipline, the identity that executes consistently. Once that identity forms, everything else begins to follow. Focus improves, decisions sharpen, confidence expands, opportunities multiply. Not because luck suddenly changed, but because you did. The person you avoided becoming became the person you stepped into, and that version moves differently. It wastes less time, it reacts less emotionally, it focuses more intentionally, it builds instead of complaining, it executes instead of explaining. And those behaviors compound. Slowly, quietly, powerfully, because transformation is rarely loud, but its results are undeniable. The moment you stop avoiding your next level is the moment your trajectory changes, not instantly, but permanently. If this message reached you at the right time, stay connected to ReMyndU, because sometimes the breakthrough you're searching for is not hidden in a new opportunity, a new strategy, or a new environment. Sometimes the breakthrough is simply the moment you finally decide to become the version of yourself you've been avoiding.